Welcome to the perfect place to put a practice podcast, the podcast for practice owners looking to grow their business strategically. I'm your host, Mike Green from Dr. Demographics, and today we're diving into a big question. When's the right time to expand your practice to another location? Expanding could be a game changer, but it's not a decision you should make lightly. So we're going to break it down with some practical insights to help you know when the time is absolutely right. So stick around. This episode is packed with tips to guide your growth. Welcome again to all of you, and we want to give you a big thank you for all the great support you've given to this podcast. Between Scott McDonald and I, we've been doing this podcast since about 2014, and we're nearing 300 episodes. Everywhere we go, we meet someone who has listened to the podcast, and they share some very nice words on how it helped them in their journey of practice ownership. That's very kind, and we're flattered and honored to be on that path with you. On that note, we have some really exciting news to share with you. We just submitted the final manuscript for our new book, Dental Marketing Mastery, for you dentists out there. It should be available within the next week on Amazon. We'll have some more information in the emails about it, but we've worked really hard on this book, and we're really hopeful that will be a great tool for each of you as you build your practice in the future. All right, let's get to the podcast. First, let's talk about why you might even consider opening a second location. In most cases, your current office is bursting at the seams. Your schedule is booked out weeks in advance. Your patients are waiting super long for appointments. Or maybe you're even seeing demand from a nearby area where patients are traveling from. Expansion can help you serve more of these patients, increase your revenue, and help you build your brand. But timing is everything. So how do you know when you're ready? Well, I've got 5 key signs that you should be looking for, and we're going to walk through each one. So first, sign number 1, your practice is financially stable. And this is super important. And a lot of people rush to this before they're quite at this stage. But the first one is absolutely financial stability. Expanding is expensive. Think build out costs, new equipment, hiring staff, marketing. Before you even consider a second location, your current practice should be generating consistent revenue and profit. So what's a good rule of thumb? Look at your cash flow. Can your practice cover its operating expenses, pay down any debt, and still have a nice, healthy reserve? Ideally, you'd want to have a good 6 months of operating expenses saved up for the new before you even look at the new location, because it might take that much time to break even at the new spot. Excuse me. So you want to make sure that you've got that in reserves. Also, check your debt to income ratio. If your current practice is heavily leveraged, adding another location could stretch you just too thin. We've seen it lots of times. Talk to your accountant, run the numbers. If your practice is profitable and has a really solid financial cushion, that's a green light till you can start exploring, you can start looking expansion, you can start talking to us at Dr. Demographics about some potential locations. That's kind of your green light to move to that next step. So financial stability, make sure you're there. You don't rush that process. Be patient with it. It will come, we promise. Okay, sign number 2. Your current practice runs like a well-oiled machine. Expanding to a new location means splitting your attention in most cases, unless you've got a partner or someone that's going to take it on. So your first office needs to be operating really smooth without constant oversight. Do you have standardized processes for scheduling, billing, patient care? Is your team trained? Are they reliable? Is your current practice chaotic? If you're opening up a new location because your current location is chaotic and you're kind of trying to leave that set of problems, trust me, that's not going to work. If you're still putting out fires every day, adding another location will actually amplify those problems. And probably you ought to look at what's causing those problems, right? It might be a management issue. It might be you, right? It may be something that you're doing or not doing that's causing that chaos. So you've got to make sure that you're not playing a fireman the whole time with your current location. A really great test to know whether your practice can function without you is to go for a week. Go on vacation, right? If you went on vacation for a week, would everything fall apart? If the answer is yes, you probably ought to focus on streamlining your operations first. Invest in the training, delegate your responsibilities, and document every bit of workflow and SOPs. So important for I always call them the monkey docs is when I'm working with practices. Make sure your monkey docs are all there. And what does that mean? That means things are so lined out, so written out that even a monkey could take that document and be able to run your business because it's so well documented. So make sure that your practice is there. And once your practice is efficient and self-sustaining, you're going to be in a much better position to scale and move on to step 3, which is there even demand for a new location? So sign number 3 is clear market demand for a new location. This is really where the research comes in. So are your patients traveling long distances to see you? That's something you really need to know. When you are running your reports, you need to look at what zip code they're coming from. You might be really surprised how far they're driving to reach you. And number one, you should feel, very complimented by that, right? They're maybe driving past 5, 10, or 50 other practices to reach you. You probably ought to know why they're doing that, but you're doing something right, so that's great. Are you in a situation where you're turning away new patients because you're just fully booked? And of course, you're probably not turning away patients, and it's not that clear. But what's happening is people are calling your office, and your front desk person is saying, "Hey, yeah, we'd love to have you in. Here's our next appointment in 4.5 weeks." And they're like, "Yeah, I'll call you back." They're going somewhere else, right? And in essence, you're turning them away because you don't have the capacity. Look at your patient demographics. Where are they coming from? If you're seeing a cluster of patients from a specific area, that could be an absolute prime spot for a second location. As an example, I was just doing a study for a practice in the Denver area, and the place that they were in was pretty stagnant. Like, it just wasn't really growing that well, but just honestly, 5 minutes away into some new neighborhoods was growing rapidly, and they were seeing a lot of patients driving up from that location. And so for them, it made a lot of sense to potentially look at a second office in that spot. The key here is to don't just rely on your gut. Don't rely on your gut. Do the market analysis. The data and the numbers don't really care how emotional you are on this decision, how excited you are or scared you are or depressed you are. They don't care about, numbers don't care about any of that, but they will tell you exactly what's going on. You want to be looking at the population growth. You want to be looking at the income levels. You want to be looking at the competition in that area that you're considering. For example, a growing suburb with a few dentists might be an absolute goldmine, but is everybody going there, right? Is it in an oversaturated urban area? That could be really risky. You might even look at surveying your patients to gauge, would they even be interested, say, to drive to an area closer to home. Maybe this is closer to work for them, and that's the reason that they're doing that. You've got to really have that market data right in front of you. And if the demand is there, that's a really, really strong signal to move forward. And I always tell people that it's just about courage at that point, honestly. Courage in real estate, whether you can find the real estate. Okay. So let's look at sign number 4, and that is, do you have the leadership and staffing to support the expansion? Now, everybody's got a different strategy of what they're doing and how they're going to expand, but a new location means hiring more team members and likely a new practice manager to oversee the new office. Ask yourself, do you have a leadership team right now that you can trust? Can you recruit and train new staff without compromising quality at your current location? One mistake I see a lot of practice owners make is they're trying to stretch their existing team across 2, 3, or 10 locations. And in some cases, if you have set the business up correctly, which is rare, to be honest with you, you can have a practice manager that will be able to manage locations, or if they're a rock star, right, and be able to do that. But you don't want to build the system around the person. You need to build the system around the process. You need to build the system around the position, because that person, that rock star, might leave at some point, and the new person that comes in may not have the ability to manage multiple locations. In most cases, it's a recipe for burnout and turnover. Instead, start building your bench now. Like look at your bench and say, who potentially could I promote to be the new practice manager? Or do I have someone on my team right now? Or are they a known quantity in the market, maybe at a different location, that I could potentially hire to manage that location for me? You want to identify high potential team members who can step into that leadership role, and consider hiring ahead of time so they're trained, so they know exactly what they're doing when that second office opens. If you've got the people in place, you're definitely one step closer to being ready. But again, not something you want to rush necessarily. You've got to make sure that you've got your battle team with you. Sign number 5, you are personally ready for the challenge. Expanding isn't just a business decision, it's a lifestyle one. Opening a second location will demand more of your time, energy, and focus, especially in that first 6 to 12 months. Are you prepared to juggle 2 different offices, or that third or that fourth office? Do you have the systems in place to manage the stress and avoid burnout, and not just at work, but also at home? It's so worth looking at your long-term goals. If you're planning to step back from clinical work in a few years, or maybe you're there now, a second location could set you up to sell a larger, more valuable practice in the future. But if you're already stretched thin right now, it might be better to optimize your current location instead. Be honest with yourself. What can you handle? What can your marriage handle? What can your partnership handle? What can your family handle? You don't want to be in a situation where you're driving to work every morning and hate your life. I have talked to many doctors in that situation. You do not want to be there. So let's recap those 5 signs. Financial stability, make sure you're there. Operational efficiency, make sure you're there. Market demand, get the research done. Make sure that there's enough demand in that area to warrant the expansion. Strong leadership and staffing. Make sure that your bench is deep when you're going to expand. And then maybe the most important is make sure that you personally are ready. If you're checking those boxes, or most of them, it might be time to really start looking at planning your expansion. This is the perfect time of year right now. We're sitting in May right now. So you could be up and going by the end of the year in a new practice, depending on the situation, and really hit the next year going strong. Here's a pro tip. After doing this for many, many years, talking to many, many doctors, you don't need to rush the process. If you're feeling rushed, if your real estate person is rushing you, if you have a partner that's rushing you, you have to have the courage to pump the brakes a little bit. Now, an opportunity is an opportunity, right? Like, you do have to have courage and be bold to take that opportunity, but you want to make sure that you're feeling confident in all those areas. Now, that being said, don't make it an excuse to say, hey, you know what? I'm not ready. I'm too scared. You're never going to be ready at that point. Set some definite benchmarks, some absolute data-driven keys that you know that you can hit. And when you're there, go for it. That's why we're here at Dr. Demographics. That's what we can help you do to make sure that you find the right location. And of course, consult with the experts, right? Consult with the real estate agents. Make sure that you've got your practice management consultant on board, your accountant, and your whole team to make sure they know exactly what you want to do and where you want to go with your practice. So before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you expanded your practice? Are you thinking about it? What's holding you back? Drop me a message on our website, www.drdemographics.com. You can email me directly at mike@drdemographics.com. Tag us on social media. If you found this episode helpful, subscribe. Leave a review on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. I know I have seen so many times that the doctors that are ready, that are prepared and take that step, that really is that first step to expansion and building their own personal legacy that they want to build for their future, for their family, and for themselves. And maybe many of you are associates, right? And your first step is just stepping away from that 9 to 5 and building your first practice. Either way, we're here to support you. DrDemographics.com. My name is Mike Green. Happy to help any way we can. And with that, we'll see you soon on the next episode.